Dear Ruth, I dreamed about you again last night. I hold your face in my mind. I think about your belly getting bigger. I think about our baby girl.
I think I shot someone.
It's gonna be okay. All you gotta do is wait for me.
I don't know why you kids did what you did. What do you want to do now?
I'm worried for him.
He's not who he thinks he is. He wants to be this famous outlaw. He wants to go down in history. He wants to be like Bonnie and Clyde, basically, or Jesse James, or one of those characters, and he's failing miserably at it. Rather than actually use like plot points or story beats or twists and all the traditional narrative elements, I really wanted to rest on that iconography. So that even though the characters are, you know, fully fledged and you know, to me at least, very developed characters, they're nonetheless keep falling back into these, you know, positions as archetypes, as icons.
I dreamed about you again last night. I guess I dream about you every night, and most days too.
The film is so deeply romantic on the one side, but it also is a misguided romance because he should not go back to them. If he truly loved her in a sincere way, he would get as far away as possible because he would understand that that's the last thing they need in their lives. So he's in love with the idea of that romance that he and she represent. And he's in love with the idea of being the man in their life who can provide for them and that they can just do whatever they want and will be this epic couple who are star-crossed in all of the grandstanding narrative traditions. But it's not, you know, he's not that.
I do what I can to look after both of them.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll handle that from here.
Oh, you think so?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what. You do whatever you want. You take all your money. And you get yourself as far away from here as you possibly can. But you listen to me when I tell you. You leave those girls alone.
There's something about Texas that, you know, if you separate the politics from it, which it gets tricky, but it has this sort of rebellious spirit to it that is something that I really feel speaks to me as a person and also to just independent filmmaking in general. It has this unruly, wild spirit to it, and also Texas, both on a mental level and the actual like topography of the state, is just big. It's really, really big, and when you take like a very small, intimate story and set it against that backdrop, it automatically takes on a grandeur that it wouldn't have necessarily had otherwise. A great example of it is Calvin and Hobbes. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with those, but he always runs off into the backyard, rides his wagon down a hill, and he's in this epic landscape of the imagination. But that's how it really is in Texas, at least where I grew up. Whereas you leave your nice domestic suburban house, and like within a few yards, you're out in the middle of nowhere.
That kind of being cut off and being restricted and claustrophobic and not having sound.
Porn is the backdrop to it. It's about a relationship.
Your girl is gonna be a star.
The movie's meant to be an allegory for class warfare and rich and poor.